Hey guys, it's John. You are on the JRB tree climbing channel. I've owed you this update for a while. 2 years ago in this very tree, I showed you something I was working on. A way to climb a tree using a rope-based system with zero slack. But we didn't need to use a throw ball. We climbed based on a cascading series of hitches that we set on the tree. Well, since that video, I have made a number of improvements. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I reserve the right to make it better. I reserve the right to improve things. So this system has a number of improvements, and in case you've been watching since inception, these will make sense. As you look at the playlist for hitch climbing, we've got a new location for the bookmark video. Below the bookmark video, that's the older stuff that shows you how we got here, and at the top of the playlist is the most recent information. Will this system improve in the future? I don't know, but if history is any indicator, it probably will, and I will just stack that on top in the future. I just last week released a video showing how to take your rappel rope, this is less than 40 feet of rappel rope, and convert it into a climbing system. And I demonstrated a climb on this tree. I will leave a link to that video in the video description for this one, as well as any other pertinent or relevant videos. Today we're going to climb with a longer system. This is what I call a universal system. Our job as a hunter is not to climb a tree a certain way. Our job as a hunter is to climb the tree that we need to climb because it's in the right location by whatever means necessary. And I don't want to have more than one system. And with a universal system, I can climb with my favorite method, DSRT. I can climb SRT, and I can use hitch climbing. I can use the same system with sticks, with climbing sticks, if the need arises. So we're going to do separate content on building a universal system, but I'll start by taking it apart. Let's get a little closer look at these systems. Now this video is about the method, not the system. But on the left, I've got a 40-foot system. It's got 2 compact longhorn agiles. And in all cases, I'll back those off from the end of the rope to ensure I've got room to install my anchor and send it up the tree. I'll back it off about 3 wingspans as far as I can reach and just leave it there. But that system's only about 37, 38 feet. There's the Maverick pole in the center. Now here, this system is only 60 feet, but it's so much more versatile because I can use it for DSRT. So those friction hitches there, the orange ones, we're not going to use those in the hitch climbing, but they're benign. They're just going to sit on the rope as part of this universal system, and I am engaging those compact longhorn agiles with pre-installed carabiners for the hitch climbing method. It's important to distinguish the difference between a system and a method, as a system can potentially allow us to climb via multiple methods, and that's what we've got in the universal system. As I put it on the tree, I'm going to show you the improvements that we have made. The first improvement since the original method is that we now climb towards the end of the rope. We climb towards the end, not towards the middle. And the main reason for that is to make sure we don't ever get in a situation where we don't have enough line to reach the ground. We always have to have a line to ground. That's the first improvement. The second improvement is our anchor. In the beginning, I was using a saddle hunter's hitch, and that's still viable if you don't have a pole. Now I'm using the Maverick hitch. I just tied the Maverick hitch on the tree, and on my back, I've got a Maverick pole. This pole is available for purchase
at Ape Canyon Outfitters. It's telescoping. It's made in the USA.
It's fully discounted, and it's available. You can find it in the JRB collection at Ape Canyon Outfitters or on my website, jrbtreeclimbing.com. But the nice thing about the Maverick pole and the Maverick hitch is that I can turn this system to a much more efficient system because I'm getting more reach out of every move, every transfer that I do, because I can advance this up the tree. Now this tree has indicators on it every 5 feet. I put a little camouflage spray paint to indicate Well, I've got this somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 and a half feet. And I'm going to let that pole hang there. Just going to let it hang. And I'm going to show you the system. So here, I've got a compact Longhorn Agile hitch. If I work towards the other end of the system, well, in orange here, I've got a couple other friction hitches. I'm not going to use those today. These are for DSRT. They're benign. They're ready for me should I want to use the system in a different climbing method, but they're benign in this climb today. And the other end of the system, heading the other direction, is another
compact Longhorn Agile hitch.
I'm going to take that end and I'm going to attach it to me because I need it later. Sure, I could pull it up, but now it's attached to me. Now, another improvement is that I am utilizing a more uniform procedure for my bridges. I always have two bridges on my saddle. I've got my short bridge, and I almost never need to adjust this. I just leave it really nice and short. But my upper bridge, the Longhorn Agile bridge design, goes from very long, allowing it to be used as a set of suspenders, to extremely short. And when I hitch climb, I want my bridge extremely short so as to ensure I don't ever even need a lineman's belt. And here's how the climb works. I'll take my Longhorn Agile, compact Longhorn Agile hitch, and I'm going to clip it onto my bridge, right in the center, right over the friction hitch. I can only fit a fist between the carabiner and my belt buckle. Next improvement, instead of having dedicated foot loops on each side, we're now using the very same foot loop we use in DSRT and SRT. The JRB Garda Hitch foot loop is now equipped with a loop at the end. I call that the transformation loop, and I can make it shorter. I have a short bridge, so I need a short foot loop. There, as of the publication of this video, there is now a kit available at Ape Canyon Outfitters. You can buy and assemble yourself a JRB Garda Hitch foot loop. I'm engaging on the rope as per standard procedure. Now, if you have a different strength profile than me, you can climb with 2 feet. So you see what I did here is I put 1 foot inside of my Longhorn Agile. That's the way I climb. But if you so desire, you can put 1 foot on each side. I just find that to be unnecessary. It's a little easier, but I just don't need it. And so I just climb with 1 foot. And I leave my foot loop on the whole time. The next improvement is I figured out a way, and it's all through the best friend loop, where I can have redundancy. You recall, I like to have redundancy in my climbing system, redundancy specifically for any moving frictional components. If a friction hitch fails in my system, if it slips, I have to be safe. And with this connection to the best friend loop on my foot loop, I have redundancy. I have intentionally preceded this video with a video about everything I can think of that could possibly go wrong with a friction hitch slipping. So that video, I'll leave a link in the video description, are recovery scenarios when using the Garda Hitch foot loop to show how we could get out of any situation if a friction hitch were to slip or fail. All right, so here's the climb. It's just like SRT, it's just a little less efficient because I'm so close. I pull up to advance the Garda, I stand, and I slide up my friction hitch. And I repeat. I've done this climb carrying 100 pounds of cast iron. I have to admit, the hardest part was finding a place to put 100 pounds on my body. You'll notice I'm wearing my platform. I don't always use a platform when I hunt, but on a tree like this, I definitely would. And I just don't find the need to pull it up separately. Of course I could, but this is my preferred method. So as I get close to my anchor, I'm going to make sure my pole is easily removed. Take that off. I'm going to hang it from me. And I'm going to get up and I'm going to put my friction hitch almost touching my Maverick hitch, but there's still an inch in there. If I ever needed to break this to initiate rappel, I could. Now, in terms of efficiency, we want to get as high as possible with each move. And so I'm going to advance my foot loop just a little bit more, such that my bridge is roughly horizontal. And once I'm there, I'm going to relax, come back into a sit, and I'm going to tie my next Maverick hitch. Okay, so here's the other end of the rope. I'm going to tie a Maverick hitch. We have options. We could go left or we could go right in terms of where to attach the next carabiner. And I have tried both directions. And my preference varies based on where I am in my climb. I'm planning on doing a transfer and another transfer. And so what I'm going to do to tie this Maverick hitch and run it up the tree is I'm going to put this one on the right side. Why the right side and not the left side? Well, if you remember, my bridge has got a friction hitch
attached to the right bridge loop.
And so this carabiner that I will attach next, well, I don't want it to accidentally lengthen my bridge. So I'll put it on the right side where it can't possibly do so. And this is one of the reasons that I'm glad that I took my time to do so many rehearsal climbs before showing you this video. If I attach it on the left side, well, it might accidentally lengthen my bridge. That's never a problem, but I'd rather that didn't happen right now. So I'll take the carabiner and I'll put it through the right side. And now I'm going to execute a transfer. Got a dedicated video on how to do this move. It starts by having my lower bridge horizontal, but the move is simply taking as much slack out of the upper line as possible. And now I've transferred. It's important, in fact, there is a climbing standard for arborists. Z133 is the standard, and there is language in the section on tree climbing that mandates that the climber shall load a new anchor before removing an old anchor. We always have to load it with our full body weight, and I've done so. I've got no weight on the lower anchor, and of course, I'll continue the climb with no slack. Now, I simply need to transfer my foot loop over. So I'll take it off the lower. I'll put it on the new one. And if you got that mixed up, well, you wouldn't go very far, would you? I've got my foot loop on the new line, and now I can remove the Maverick hitch. I'll now resume my climb, and it's going to look exactly the same. Exactly the same. Now, I've intentionally positioned my anchor a little bit, I could have put it anywhere I want on the tree. We have the ability to set it, a good 90 degrees in any direction. So let's say I wanted to face the direction of the camera and therefore put my hitch a little further back. Well, then that's where I'd have my pole. That's where I'd set my pole. Now, right now, if I would have dropped my pole, well, I wouldn't be able to continue in climbing this way, and therefore I could tether it onto me, but I've decided after testing that I just prefer to take my chances because I've never dropped it, and if I did, it's not a life-sustaining component. Now, as indicated by the marks on the tree, I've got this hitch at about just over 20 feet. So my feet are just over 15. I could hunt at this height, but I prefer to go one more move. How do I do so? Well, I've still got this attached to me, and guess where it is? It's on the left side of my bridge. Here's the other end of the rope. Well, I need to pull a little slack in to give me room, right? So there's one arm span, there's two, there's three, I would like a little extra, there's four. And I will tie another Maverick. So we're not climbing for speed here today. I'm yapping. At some time I'll show you how quickly I can do this when I am not explaining every detail of what I do. Let's put that right there. Okay. Remove slack, which is effortless with the Longhorn Agile. And now this part of the transfer is kind of cool because I have my carabiner on the left side and I can use it to lengthen my bridge. So when I do this transfer, at the same time, I've got the carabiner on the far left side of my bridge. You can't quite see that, and I will allow my bridge to lengthen as I load this. Good deal. Okay, so that's still attached to the tree. I will remove my Garda hitch foot loop, attach it to the upper line. Now I realize you can't follow every detail, but that's why I preceded this video with details on everything, including engaging the Garda hitch, including executing that transfer. But now that I'm in this position, fully redundant on the upper line, I'll remove the lower carabiner from my bridge. I'll release. And now ordinarily I might bring this rope up with me, but today, purposes of demonstration, I'll just let it hang down to the ground. Okay, let's climb a little further. Let's decide where we want to have our, like right now I'm lengthening my bridge a little bit more comfort. Lengthen my bridge. Where do I want to have my platform? My tie-in point looks like it's around 27, 28 feet. Let's put our platform here around 22 feet. That looks about right. So I'm going to speed this up in your playback. See my video on platform attachment with mechanical advantage. Kind of like leaving my platform folded up so it's not in my way when I climb past it. Okay, so here I am, arriving at height. I can fine tune this, bring this up, lengthen my bridge, get comfortable. I'm not going to show you all the other details, right? I didn't bring a bow today. What do we do with our pole during the hunt? Well, I've got some friends who just leave it attached. I do like to collapse it, and I'm not going to prescribe what's best. It's a matter of personal style. But if you've got a gear hanger, you can hang it from your gear hanger. You can hang it right here from the rope. You could hang it from your platform so it's hanging down and never in view. Plenty of options. Those are details. Let's get on with the action of rappelling. It was also on this tree that I demonstrated to you how I rappel using the Munter friction hitch. See that video, single rope rappel on the Munter friction hitch. Okay, it starts by removing my foot loop, and for a brief time I would be considered non-redundant. Remove all possible slack. I'll take my pole, attach it to me. I'll get out my retrieval cord. Now you might not carry something as high visibility as this, but I find it works great. It's 6mm utility cord. It really gives you something significant to hold on to. And the nice thing about this cord is it's so strong. If I needed, for emergency purposes, I needed a piece of cordage, well, I have one right here. So at this juncture, I'm going to unlock my Maverick hitch. It's the last thing I do, because after this time, the Maverick can be released. Now, what kind of force would it take to release a Maverick hitch when I'm on it? An awful lot. An awful lot. So I'm going to actually get off of my platform so that my line is fully loaded, attach my retrieval line, and begin my rappel. I'm now below my platform. I can remove it. That's really easy. Resume rappel. In rappel, we always come down real slowly, and my left hand is doing all the braking. My Longhorn Agile, look, one finger. Resist the temptation to squeeze on this. Just let it ride down. It's only there as a backup. If we want to stop, we let go. But resist the temptation to use your friction hitch as a rappel device. Now at this junction, I'm going to show you with my butt just right off the ground. If I were to pull on this, look, I'm pulling on this, and if this lets go, I come down. But look, like I'm pulling as hard as I can with one hand, and I can't release myself. So that Maverick does a pretty good job of staying jammed under load and releasing, or unjamming I should say, when we release our load from it. So now, of course, I'm fully off the line. And so now you can just kind of watch how much effort with my left hand that I need to exercise. I'll just walk away from the tree a little bit, and that's it. That's it. And down comes the Maverick. Sure, there's been a couple times where I had to give that a tug. Depends on a lot of factors. Key points here, team, is that it's important that you think about, as you review this and you compare it to the way that you're climbing a tree. Notice that I was under no slack the whole time. Notice that I never needed a lineman's belt, and I was always under control of my position in the tree. We can use the same method using a climbing stick. I find that more difficult. Just like it was difficult to pass my platform, it was in the way. The same's true with climbing sticks. We can use them, and I don't object to you climbing by any means that you feel most comfortable. I object to you climbing without a tie-in and without a well-managed slack profile, and that's what this system can do. Please in your own climbing, please make a distinction between the system you're climbing on and the method by which you're climbing. This system here has gotten a lot of attention. I'm proud to be working with our friends here at 8 Canyon Outfitters. If you would like to see this system in a kit, well, please leave me a comment and we'll see what we can do. But I won't be, I'll be insisting that any kits that get sent out are always assembled by the climber. You have a responsibility to tie your own friction hitches. You need to be able to inspect them. You need to be able to replace them. Okay, once again, JRB Tree Climbing, keep your eye on the website, keep your eye on the playlist. I will do some future content on this. I'm going to show you how to do this on a tree that's got some branches. What if we need to go around a branch or two? Now, if it's got a ton of branches, well, we probably would have used a throw ball and rope climb. And also, I'll show you how to use this with climbing sticks. Again, with zero slack the whole time. I can't really think of how I would fall out of this tree. Of course, it's possible. I'm off the ground. But I believe I've mitigated every failure mode I can imagine in the process. And I'm glad I took my time in releasing this. Stay safe, everybody. I'll show you the universal system next.